Okay, so the year is 2023, May 28th. I think it's been about like 2 weeks since the last journal entry. Um, First things first, I've begun to set myself like a schedule for doing my art stuff because I feel like it's very easy for me to kind of like just slack off. So I think having a stricter kind of like schedule that I can follow is going to help me to do it like a lot better. It's also not to kind of like give myself any like burnout because like very easily I can just like do something like have a lot of like passion and motivation in the beginning and then just like and then it slowly kind of like just die off towards the end. I don't really want to have that. I want it to like last a bit longer. So I'm going to like set myself a schedule and then like not burn myself out, not overdo things, but also kind of like keep doing things. I don't know. I don't really have to explain it. So that's what's going on with the art stuff. In terms of writing, just that one is going to be like a slow thing. I still haven't really, I don't know, grasped like how to write. I feel like I need to read more books. I haven't read books in like such a long time, so yeah, I should. I'm gonna go look for some books and then read and see if I can get any ideas from there. Cause I just don't even know how to start at this point. I used to like write some stuff, like for class, but I don't know. Now I'm kind of just slacking off. And today I went out to just walk around in downtown. I ate at a few places and bought a few things. It's like before I've just really been just buying random stuff, just like food. Never really like spend any money like for myself, quote unquote. But I think today was just a good day, and it was a good month as well. I have some leftover kind of like extra money in the pocket, so yeah. Ate some ramen. Had some, what was it? It's some kind of like dessert food. Uh, and then went to this Japanese convenience store thingy, and then bought some like pudding and stuff and some snacks. Yeah. It was pretty chill. It was very hot today, and I was wearing like denim jacket, so that was kind of a mistake. But I don't really have anything like very like for the weather, I guess. And I was doing my laundry today, so oh well. And yeah, the main thing. On my way to going to downtown today, I kind of like realized something. I've talked a lot about like how I feel like I'm just like in terms of like dealing with other people, my social skills are just like very low. I have the basics down, like saying hello, like to greet people, saying sorry, like I can do things like in a business context or as like a professional context. If we want to get things done, I can do that. But in terms of like small talks, just like interacting, like normal interactions with people, chatting, I'm not really all about that. Like I don't have those skills. And also, last time I also mentioned how like, what do you call it? Like I feel like I am like doing things more because I want to appear better in the eyes of other people. What I've realized is that like it just sounds like I'm going through puberty. And that's where it kind of like clicked. Like I've always kind of known that like while growing up I never really had like the puberty period where it's like you undergo these kind of like emotional growth because like I never had like any kind of like social circle that I was in. So I never really had a lot of like opportunities for me to interact with other people, especially like physical interaction with people, right? So during that period where everyone else were like going through puberty, like doing their own things, having their own like kind of like growth, I never had that. I spent most of my days just online. And I feel like there's such a big difference between how you like interact with people online versus interacting with people like in real life, that I think I just completely missed out on that kind of like quote unquote like natural course of like human growth. I just completely missed out on that. And now, like after graduating from like college and entering the workforce, I'm slowly getting that environment and stuff back. Like in school, I was never really asked to like, interact with anybody or whatever. I just did my own thing. But now, like especially after college, like I've become more aware of the people and the world around me. Where before I was just like all about like me doing my own stuff, what I like, right? Like I can be considerate, but it's not like I really give a damn about other people, or like I really put other people's interest like in my mind all the time. But now I am in this kind of like completely different social environment where I'm constantly like interacting and like with people that that I'm constantly being basically put in situations that I am not alone, that I do not have full control over. My brain is basically forced to go through this kind of like change where I have to, though late, I have to start learning about human interaction and my place in the world. Because I never underwent that when I was young. Right now I am just I am like slowly accepting the fact that like nothing is perfect. I am not perfect. My environment is not like not everything is going to go the way I want them to be. Like before, there were a few times, very few times, where I like threw basically tantrums because I was not happy with how things were going. Right? I was like being passive aggressive about things, where there were like these projects, the group projects basically, and I was being very passive aggressive about how things went, because with how like group projects go, there's like not everyone's putting in the same effort, and me feeling like most of the time is me doing the most things. There was this one time where we were kind of like at school. We were making like this video for like a language class, where we were supposed to like do this little play in the language that we're learning. And I was basically did most things. Like I provided the place, which is basically my house. There weren't any real props, so we just grabbed stuff around my house to do the thing. Again, I'm not even doing this like with like any of my friends. It's just classmates, because I didn't have any friends in that class. And I did all the like the video editing. I think I even chose like the script, or it's like we had to like trim, like we had to pick a story and then trim things down, and I was also like in charge of that. Basically, when dealing with the credits scene, like my name appeared like 80% of the time, and all the other times are just like random the actors and their roles, but everything else was just me. And like by doing that is kind of like my passive aggressive way of like saying how unhappy I am with like those people I've worked with. And then there was this other instance where it's like something similar, also kind of like a group project, but I basically bailed the project midway through because I was just like very unhappy with like what I was being requested of by the project leader. And I threw a tantrum in the group chat, and honestly, even now I'm still not really like proud of what I did, but yeah, that's just how it went. And that's when I realized, like, I was like, that was honestly just some like autistic behavior, like not in the mean sense, but just in the sense where it's like not basically doing things that are age appropriate or even socially appropriate, I feel like, and like lacking the awareness of all those things, and just like kept on doing things that I wanted to do. And that's how I went for like most of my life, because I never really had many instances where I was really like challenged on these things. I never really got like into trouble at school or anywhere. Like, no one really said anything about this either, about anything I did. And even if they did say something, I think I really didn't really care either, because like, again, I didn't have anyone like physically close to me that was telling me, hey, you shouldn't be doing these things. My parents weren't really saying a lot either, because, well, they didn't really know what the hell was going on in my life. They, I don't know if it's neglect or just something else, but yeah, they weren't really that involved in my like personal life when I was growing up. But yeah, I just completely missed out on that like teenage kind of like emotional growth period. And now I'm with all of this. I have all the awareness in the world, and I am realizing all these flaws I have, and I'm slowly like kind of like patching myself up, basically. I don't even know like how well I'm going to end up with, considering like how late all of this came. But I don't know, hopefully it's gonna be better. Another example is like how, like, to me, morality is like such a confusing thing to me. I guess I'm more like an objectivist, whereas like morality to me, like there's no kind of like universal good. So when people talk about, oh, this is good for you, or this is the right thing to do, that is the wrong thing to do, it always, like, the first thing that pops in my mind is like, what do you mean by that? It doesn't like make enough sense in my mind, basically. Like what do you mean by this is the right thing to do? It's like for example, murder. You know, generally the idea is that, okay, murder is bad, but then there are also times where there are arguments where it's like murder is kind of like acceptable. That's literally why we have like death sentences in like some countries and in the past, because we feel like that is okay to do. Like, morality seems to be this like constantly changing thing, so it feels weird for me to hear someone say, oh, this is right or this is wrong, because like, okay, how do you know that this is right or that is wrong? It could literally change the next day, or like in 5 years, in 10 years. So it feels like very weird, like, to judge something on a scale that is like constantly changing. But now I am like, after kind of like getting more and more incorporated into society and interacting with people more, I feel like I am realizing more of this kind of like what do you call it? This kind of like innate sense of morality that I have, that I was never really aware of. Like, despite how the first thing that pops into my mind in terms of when like moral questions comes up, being like questioning it and then ask, and then everything else. Now I can kind of like sense, like, when certain things happen, I can kind of like sense myself having kind of like a push or pull towards the thing. When some event happens, I can kind of feel myself like naturally agreeing with something or disagreeing with something, just like before anything before like my rationale kicks in, right? And that's when I realized it's like, okay, I do have this kind of like sense of morality as a human being, though consciously, like when talking about something like in a more kind of like like a more strict or like a less abstract sense of things, I require a lot more things to be explained. But in terms of just like how I feel towards something, I think I can sort of grasp it now. Whereas before, I just didn't even bother to like even think that far. I didn't even bother to basically grasp. But yeah, things are slowly changing about myself. Uh, I don't know how far this is gonna go, but it's I guess it's something good. I don't know. It's kind of a scary feeling that to see yourself kind of like changing from something completely different towards something like me being this one thing before, and then slowly but surely like changing into this something else that is like I've never really like I'm not like familiar with. It's kind of scary. It's for me, it's a very scary thought that I am changing this much. I feel like, and I don't know. I'm not. Honestly, I'm kind of like feeling a bit of like not resent, but a bit of a push. Not a bit of a push, but just like not really let's just say that I am not yet fully committed into like this self change, because it's just like what I've considered as like part of my self identity. A core part of my self identity is basically kind of like I'm kind of like losing it, and I really don't like that feeling. Right, kind of like I feel like I'm letting things take course without myself giving enough resistance to it. Like, I don't know, it's a weird feeling, and if I feel like I don't have the most control over how I am changing myself, or how myself is changing or adapting to my current environment, and it's not really a good feeling. It feels like I'm changing not because I want to change, but if it's almost as if like my body is like forced to change in a sense. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but yeah. But I don't know. We'll see how this whole thing goes. I'm still trying to internalize like some like social concepts that I feel like a lot of other people have already been taking for granted. Like, for example, the idea of morality, like that is one thing I'm slowly kind of like understanding now. I'm also kind of like slowly also grasping, like truly understanding the idea of like how other people are essential to one's life. How like unless I don't know, live off like in the forest, like become a hermit or whatever, I become like a wild person, like I am going to have to like depend on other people, and I have to accept that like I can't just like do everything myself. There are limits to me that and I have to accept my own limits. A lot of I think a lot of the like illusion of grandeur I have for myself comes from the fact that I have this thought that, oh, I can just do everything myself. I see someone doing something and I think to myself, I can probably do that if I like put enough work. While in reality, that's honestly not the case. Like, one, there's not enough time, and two, I feel like there's also kind of like a sense of like natural affinity for things. Obviously, like we all need practice on things, but like I find myself like often comparing myself to those people that are being deemed as geniuses, or like those are have a like very strong will that can push them to like to like get a lot of practice and experiences. And I'm just not that. And I'm still kind of like have having to like slowly like fully grasp that concept. I have to basically learn to bring myself lower. And I'm not exactly there yet. But we'll see how things go. Things are not exactly going good. They're not exactly going bad. They're just kind of wishy-washy in the middle. Still a lot of just like frustration and kind of like turmoil with myself. But I think as long as this, like, I'm not completely going south, I think it's safe to say that it is going okay. If it's not going in the negative, then it is good. I think I should. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. But yeah, that's about it for this time, and we'll see when the next one's gonna come.